Now, what exactly is going to be happening in this game? Well, first off, I believe it is going to have some fresh coat of paint, if you know what I mean. It's not going to be like the 3DS version, but there's a whole bunch of different coat of paints that they could do. First off, we have ultra realistic, something that looks very similar to this. We have a cartoony style, something very similar to, I guess, Wind Waker and potentially like Breath of the Wild, I guess. And then you have the straight up Breath of the Wild style. Yeah, there's definitely a lot that you can look at. Now, we know that Nintendo does use Unreal Engine. This is something that they do use for Yoshi and the Mysterious Book and other games associated with that. So I believe that Nintendo, for the Ocarina of Time remake, they're most likely going to go with the option for Unreal Engine. Because if you look at it, if they really wanted to make this game shine, the original sort of N64 version actually did try to go realistic for the time. Since the technology wasn't there, they weren't really able to meet their goals, so they made it sort of blocky, semi-realistic in some way. But now with all the technology that we have so far, you can make it Unreal Engine if you want to. Plus, the Nintendo Switch 2 has DLSS, so if you wanted to, you can have super realistic arts and all of those things, and there you go. That could make sense. But then if we talk about the Breath of the Wild style, well, the Breath of the Wild style is definitely really interesting as well. Because the Breath of the Wild games and Tears of the Kingdom honestly work really great. They really do work great, but I don't necessarily think that Nintendo is going to completely take that art style, call it a day, because that is an art style for a specific genre of game. Wind Waker is definitely another interesting one. I don't necessarily believe that that is going to actually happen, so for me, it's the realistic style. Now, what exactly could be added or changed? Because in remakes, usually some things tend to change, and that's completely okay. They're probably not going to want to completely change everything about The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. All of a sudden make it into an open world, not going to happen. But things that they could add or maybe was cut from the game could be, remember the Temple of Light, I believe it was called, that it was a separation between the Temple of Time and when you enter the Scarred Realm. So potentially they're going to re-add that sort of temple that it's in between. So then you know the actual story on what happened. Because I always found it kind of weird that all of a sudden you pull the sword, you wake up in the Scarred Realm and boom, you see all the sages and you're like 7 years older. Maybe they could actually add that cut thing, because originally in the original N64 game, that was actually a thing. That was actually a thing that they wanted to add, but I don't think they were able to add. So now in 2026, this is something that they could definitely add to The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Another thing that's most likely going to change is Castle Town. Castle Town, oh boy, not being in a 3D environment is definitely very weird. You go in there and it's going to make the game feel dated if they don't change that up. If you look something very similar to this is how the game could look. Castle Town would be at its sort of rightful place where you can go and explore every single building in every way. There's probably going to be different buildings, like different shops and maybe different little mini games inside of Castletown, because now that you're able to fully go and explore it, there would be different secrets or maybe Easter eggs or something like that that would make the game truly special. Honestly, I think that this is how they could change it. They could probably add more areas, like different Easter eggs or different things around Hyrule, because you don't want to have just a Legend of Zelda game that just has updated visuals and leave everything else. Because Ocarina of Time, this was set to be a full remake. Look at Star Fox there. Star Fox, there's clearly something that's going on here. It's like a straight line that's like a bungee cord, Yeah, there's clearly something going on. So, if you look at it, if you look at Star Fox, this is different. I know they remastered or remade this game 4 times before, but this time it feels different. There's some cutscenes that are different, there's some gameplay mechanics that are different, and level-based systems are sort of different than the original, which honestly I really appreciate. So, I would love to see this in Ocarina of Time. I think from what we've been hearing, there's going to be something inside of Hyrule Field that's going to be different. I honestly would completely accept that, because Hyrule Field wasn't the funnest thing in the world. You have to travel that, and then yeah, there's going to be 1 second, okay, there's a monster there. Okay, 5 minutes, oh, there's another monster there. it's something that should get a little upgrade and hopefully get like some grass that waves around in the wind if they're using some engine that actually has like physics engine, like the water moving, and all of those things would be really, really awesome. So potentially that's exactly what could happen here. Then also for some temples. Now the temples were honestly pretty fantastic. They're most likely not going to touch those. The chests are going to be in the same spot that they originally were. The items or the specific things are going to be the exact same spot. All they're most likely going to add is some detail to the actual dungeon, the temple, and all of those things that is going to make it a really, really special thing. And of course, the music. Now, the music is definitely really interesting. You look at it and you can say, well, they could do some computer art, orchestrated art, or just the same music as the 3DS version. But I honestly believe that since they're going to just make it like a truly special game, why wouldn't they add like orchestrated music? Like honestly, that was perfect. Like look at Pokemon Winds and Waves. The music is awesome. Like it's really cool. So it's most likely going to have music, because if you know Nintendo, at this point they're known for the music. You can see music of Nintendo in background videos of something that has nothing to do with Nintendo, because the music is just that good, peaceful and calming, and everything associated with that. And of course, yes, the controls are going to be updated. Since it's on the Nintendo Switch 2 and not the 3DS or even the N64 anymore, you have access to 2 different sticks. One of them for the full 360 camera angle and the other one to move. So this will truly have sort of like those Breath of the Wild controls that you've come used to. Like, honestly, the controls are finally going to be fixed in this game, and if you were one of those people who just completely skipped out on this game because you didn't like the controls, well, it seems like you'll finally be able to play this game. Not gonna lie, I was one of those until I was like, suck it up, I'm gonna play it. Okay, so now that we talked about the game itself, what about the actual marketing techniques and everything that's going to be on the actual cartridge? First off, yes, the game is going to be on the actual cartridge. Nintendo is known for putting their actual games on the cartridge, so don't worry, it's not going to be a game key card. Also, the game's most likely going to be $70. Could be $80, because if you looked at it, I guess Nintendo was just trialing something, but I don't necessarily see it being like an $80 game. Most likely going to be $70 or $100 in Canada. And also, the game is most likely going to have something special inside the box. Maybe showing like the differences between the 64, the 3DS, and potentially the new Nintendo Switch 2 version. But yeah, overall, I find this to be really, really interesting and really, really exciting. I am the most excited person in the world because, like, it's The Legend of Zelda. Who doesn't like Ocarina of Time? I mean, the N64 version's not that easy to play. Anyways, see you in the next one. Have a great day, by the way.